Motionless in White, an American metalcore band from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and their former bassist, Devin Sola. Between the years 2012 to 2018, Devin Sola was their bassist, replacing TJ Bell, who left in 2011 to join Escape the Fate. So what's the issue with Devin Sola? Well, for those who are unaware, during the time he was in the band, he was engaging in creepy behavior, including but not limited to engaging sexually with minors over Tumblr, sexualizing the lead singer, sexualizing band members' girlfriends, as well as body shaming his ex-girlfriend, and much worse. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this situation. So in 2020, about 4 years ago, many people began to come out with stories and screenshots of problematic content from the former bassist on Twitter. One of the stories comes from the account Cupid's Body Bag, detailing his experience with Devin Sola. It reads as follows. I don't have any screenshots or anything because I blocked him from the account he talked to me on months ago. I never thought I'd talk about it, so I didn't think to get any. If that's already enough for you to discredit me, I don't care. I was around 13, so it should have been a red flag that someone in their late 20s was going out of his way to talk to me. But I had looked up to him for years, so I didn't really care. It mostly started with him just complimenting my makeup and art because I would paint him, and recreate his stage looks all the time. Eventually, he started to have more casual conversations with me, and it became more frequent. He sent me voice notes every once in a while, too. He never said anything sexual about me necessarily, but he told me how he thought minors plus very young girls were attractive, and he talked about his kinks. Around when his Instagram got hacked, he completely stopped talking to me. This was probably the most traumatic part of it all because I went from getting a lot of attention from him to getting none. I thought about myself for a long time after he stopped talking to me, and I completely relapsed into myself because of it. My friends have videos of me from that period of my life, and it doesn't even seem like I'm the same person. I acted out and acted like a different person because I didn't know how to cope with what I was feeling because I was literally a middle schooler. For about a year and a half after that, I still made fan art and recreating his looks because I was desperate to get attention from him again. I knew he was a bad person, but I was still very attached to him, so I couldn't bring myself to fully denounce him. I stopped listening to MIW for a really long time because I didn't want to think about him at all. I still really hate to think about him, but I can't really help it, so I talk about it and make jokes about how much I hate him to try and cope with that. I might end up deleting this since I've only ever talked to one person about this, and I'm definitely not prepared to deal with his supporters attacking me over this. Nothing he did was a mistake. He was an adult and he knew exactly what he was doing. After this dropped, all the information from his Tumblr began to come to light, such as the way he spoke to several minors over and on questions with responses as follows. All evidence comes from Clarissa on Twitter.
May I volunteer as said teen for the tape? You could do anything you'd like to me. I'm not picky.
Come off and on if you're serious.
Daddy, I'm only 15. Would you still me and take my virginity? I honestly don't wanna wait till I'm 18 for you. What do you look for in a girl? Ever met someone who looked ideal?
I'm very attracted to little girls at concerts.
Unfortunately, those are the only two screenshots I could find of the Tumblr situation due to the original doc being taken down by Google itself and the Wayback Machine being of no use to me. I 100% stand with the minors who were taken advantage of by this sorry excuse for a human being. So to start off this segment, Devin Sola has been notorious for sexting band members and their girlfriends. The band member he did this the most to was none other than Chris Motionless himself. This part of the segment is focusing on what he said about Chris. All screenshots are from MIW Simp on Twitter, and the original screenshots are from This Place is Haunted on Tumblr.
For Chris Motionless.
The next couple screenshots are from Weirdos in Your Cereal on Instagram.
You definitely begged to ride Chris Motionless.
Holy. Yes,
I fantasize about Chris f***ing you more than I should.
please. Don't. Stop.
Unfortunately, this isn't the only case of sexualization. The next one involves former keyboardist Josh Balls' ex-fiance, Ryan Ashley Malarkey. Screenshots are from Clarissa on Twitter.
You're right, she's hot. 2 pals. I guess sexy people belong together.
Off to Ryan.
If this isn't a problem, I don't know what is. It's sort of weird and creepy considering he was with Kylie Devin at the time, which leads me to my next segment. As I mentioned way in the beginning of this, Devin Sola was notorious for body shaming Kylie Devin on his Tumblr. There unfortunately is only one instance I could find of this, once again coming from Clarissa on Twitter. Original shot is from an account on Instagram that I can no longer find called Canceling Devin Ghost Sola.
I laughed so hard when I read you put the hashtag big and big under Kylie's photos. Error 404 booty and it's not found.
Lie to keep her content. Show me better. I deserve it.
This is a problem. Of course, not as big as the other issues discussed, but it is still an issue. They have since broken up, but he is still sexualizing her and Chris in an NSFW chat on his Discord server. I couldn't find the original thread where the following was from. If you know or are the person that this came from, let me know so I can credit. The last segment was rather short, but now we're moving on to the last gross action taken by this individual that I was able to find. Of course, there are probably more, but unfortunately, I could not find any other screenshots. This one involves his mother and some, well, I'll let the screenshots speak for themselves. Screenshots from Clarissa on Twitter again. The Instagram that the screenshots come from have since been removed.
Tell us what you've done with your mom.
They on my pics multiple times.
Any pics of your mom?
If you couldn't tell in either of the photos, it alludes to involving his mother and himself. And at least one of those photos has a not so nice photo of his, well, yeah, next to a photo of his mom. Scripting this has been very difficult, and we're currently on page 11. So how does one respond to the allegations? Go on YouTube and sing a song with the ukulele? Post a black screen on Instagram detailing how you're not to blame? Cry on camera about how you changed and that isn't you anymore, when it totally is? Well, he took both to Instagram and Twitter saying the following.
Recently, false accusations have been made against me. These have been proven untrue time and time again. I am here to address the situation to provide understanding to such a serious issue. Lies, rumors, assumptions, insinuations, misinterpretations, manipulation, online attackers, cancel culture, out of context and/or entire fabrications. I have been tortured by these for years. Imagine being falsely accused by people who once supported you. Imagine being insistently harassed to the point where you have to choose to leave your career behind to escape it. Imagine continuously being targeted well beyond your attempt to separate yourself from negativity. I have never dealt with such a toxic situation in my entire life as this and would not wish it onto anyone. I am constantly fighting to maintain my mental health and have never fought harder than these past few years. I've provided response and cooperation countless times over the years to clear the air without resolution or recognition for my attempt to do so. Yet here I am, once again, making an effort. Please acknowledge, being an advocate for the safety and comfort of others, both physically and mentally. It deeply hurts me to experience the kind of behavior that has been misdirected at me. I applaud those who are brave enough to fight against injustice, and I passionately stand next to you in the ongoing struggle for the rest of your life and mine. What I absolutely won't stand for is those who waste time and energy obsessively, falsely accusing people with no authentic evidence to the desperate length of participating in cancel culture as a recreation. I have and will continue to block anyone who engages in this type of behavior. False accusations halt the movement forward for actual victims who are suffering every day. I can absolutely assure you I have done nothing to deserve this negativity. I ask that you to stop falsely accusing me of things I have never and would never do and or be a part of in any shape or form. As much as I struggle to deal with these accusations, I realize it is much more crucial to address the issue and bring awareness to such a delicate matter. Thank you for reading and bringing your attention to this important situation.
So let me say this. That is not how you address a situation when there is damning evidence that you did it, such as your Instagram or your lonesome ghost sandal. No one else on the internet besides you uses that username, and you can't debunk it as not real or cancel culture when that's been your handle since 2012, or when the other bandmates call you out for what you said and did, which leads me to my next point. So after being made aware of the situation, how did the rest of the band respond? Well, let's start with the lead singer, Chris Motionless. He writes as a statement from the entire band.
First and foremost, we want to assure that you have been heard and understood. We feel deeply empathetic to anyone who has felt victimized by Devin. It is a hard thing to deal with hearing how people were affected by someone we were once close to, but it is much harder to imagine the depth of the trauma that actions like this can cause someone to experience. Having been affected by this ourselves, as well as people close to us in our personal lives, we truly understand the gravity of what it means, and we thank you for sharing what you've been through in a time where that is not so easy to feel comfortable doing. We at no point witnessed or were aware of any details of inappropriate messaging, communication, or misconduct before we were made aware of his overall behavior online by fans who felt uncomfortable and brought it to us. Once made aware of this information and having processed it, we had made the decision to part ways. With many complex legal parameters considered, we made a statement in which the understanding was that the departure was mutual, and though it technically was, we did not mean to mislead anyone with that statement. In retrospect, and in light of all that has transpired, we feel validated in our decision to cut ties. The fact of the matter is that we did not want to be associated with Devin. We denounce his behavior, and feel immense remorse for anyone who has been hurt by it. Motionless in White condemns all acts of sexual harassment and assault. We stand with all victims.
The rage is not just felt by the fans, it's also felt by the members alike, as they are victims of Devin too. He hurt them just as much as he hurt the fans of Motionless in White. Chris wasn't the only one who publicly denounced Devin Sola. Vinnie Morrow and Ryan Sikowski also publicly called him out and denounced his actions.
That ass is gross because it belongs to a fucking man that got kicked out of our band for being a weirdo.
Why are everyone so mad with Devin and Twitter? Really can't understand. That was tough to read. He was not a good person. Ooh, my food got dropped off. We'll continue story time right in a second. Who's not a good person? We just said. Yeah, he did a lot of shady shit that none of us were even aware of. When all that shit blew up online with the fans, like it was a given that he had to go.
Final thoughts. All the evidence shown here, all the evidence and research I put in, feelings about the band aside, I believe no one should support someone like that. There are multiple problems with him, and if you can't see that, there is a problem. He's not a good person, plain and simple. This is the end of the video. This was exhausting. I'm probably going to take a content break from like big deep dives like this, like heavy ones like this, because this was a lot. With that being said, this is KodaKandi. Goodbye.